This is Henry Frederick of Headline Surfer, and today, of course, is the anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. He would have been 84 years old. And with me is Derrick Henry, the mayor of Daytona Beach. Derrick, welcome. Thank you for having me in your home again here in Daytona Beach.
My pleasure.
Tell me what the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day means to you in the year 2013.
Well, 2013, it means quite a bit. Just to give you a background, as a kid, I was the kid who kind of went around doing Martin Luther King presentations as a student. Teachers, even in 4th grade, would have me doing book reports for other classes, illustrating his life and his work. So in 2013, to have kind of come full circle from 4th grade to, I think it was 84 when they declared this as a national holiday, up until today when we pretty much celebrated throughout most of the United States as a holiday. It's a great day. It's a day that we can reflect on what he did, and it's also a day that we can get recommitted to the work and the parts of the dream that remain unfulfilled.
Would it be fair to say that the part of the dream that remains, I mean, people can ride on a bus, people can eat at a lunch counter, but
people can vote.
People can vote, but it seems like the real disparity is having economic power, the ability to take an education and get a good job, opportunities to succeed. Is that dream been realized, or do we still have a long ways to go with that?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would not say that people do not have opportunity, but I think that we still have to. We have some areas in which we need to level the playing field. But most importantly, King's dream really was truly a color-blind vision. It really was, in the essence of Martin King, people who knew him personally and really studied him, lived with him, worked with him, knew that he really believed in a colorblind society. But I think that the widening gap between the middle class and the poor is the part of the dream that is least fulfilled, and the one that we most need to be working on, regardless of color, regardless of race, religion. We have a large segment of our population that's increasingly poor.
Some people would even argue in the 21st century that it's not even about black and white anymore. It's about gay rights. It's about this, it's about that. But on a day like today, when you have black and white getting together for these MLK ceremonies, there seems to be a disconnect in the rest of the year in terms of having this kind of dialogue. What could be done? You're obviously, you're black, there's no getting around that. You're a black mayor in a city that has a sizable black population. What can you do to get the message across to all of the city and municipal employees, whether it's law enforcement or building and zoning, or even government itself, in terms of making things better for the population as a whole?
Well, I think one of the things that we have to do is Martin Luther King's holiday is a perfect place to begin. It was President Clinton who declared it as a service holiday. And what I would like to see us do more of, as opposed to simply having the day off, we need to have more opportunities to serve, and larger groups of people who are willing to go out, not only paint people's houses, but to actually rehabilitate people's homes, roofs, take care of people who don't have the ability to make some of the repairs that they would like to be able to make to their property.
Why can't we have more of these kinds of things? Street sweeping, sidewalk repairs, painting. You'd be surprised how much just a little bit would make a difference.
Well, it sends a message that we're all in the struggle together. And I think President Obama discussed some of that today in his inaugural address. Was that we all have to take a part in making the American dream a reality for everyone. I think it takes leadership, and to be honest, it is a part of my plan as the mayor is to make us more of a humane community, more service-driven community.
I think as we've gotten to know each other as journalists and elected official, that I think we see ourselves as I'm Henry Frederick and you're Derrick Henry. I don't think we say you're black and I'm white. But upon first appearance, those are some of the things that people see. How do you get beyond that to help people to understand that we're all together in this community? What was your a campaign theme that was really good?
One city, one vision.
One city, one vision. What can you do to bring that at a higher level, to bring that to fruition?
It's spending time together. It's engaging in the types of service. Bringing people from different churches, different races, bringing them together to complete projects together. Because once we realize that suffering is suffering, when human beings suffer, we all suffer. And once that experience is kind of universally experienced by both groups together, then I think that the barriers are lowered.
It seems like when you have like these bigger community picnics that are family oriented and getting away from like the drinking and the partying, it seems like you get a greater diversity of people together, and there seems to be a better understanding. Do you see more of that kind of activity possibly going forward?
I do. I do, and that's definitely a part of my goal, is to expand the types of activities that we have as a community.
How important is having role models as well? I mean, you coached one of the greatest athletes in American history, Vince Carter, NBA. That kind of, you see Carter's restaurant over there on, in Daytona. Having that kind of, that interaction, you think that helps too? With having,
Oh, well, my
people?
life has been predicated on that type of service and mentoring. And ultimately, one of the things that I do hope to bring to the city is a full-fledged mentoring program where we encourage other folks to come in, find a young kid, a young man, a young lady, to spend some time with mentoring. Especially want to see those things take flight in the Midtown Center and the Yvonne Scarlett Golden Center, which is will soon be completed.
And I like the idea that you're embracing more of the media interaction that we're doing together. Has to be, our fourth or fifth interview since the last weeks of your campaign. Going forward, looking at what happened, the energy for Martin Luther King Day today, you were at the MLK dinner the other night for Trayvon Martin's parents, Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, and of course the attorney Ben Crump. A lot of positive energy from that. What did that tell you about the community you live in and where you need to go with things?
Well, it tells me that people are passionate, one, about justice and fairness and equality, the things that Dr. King was passionate about. But they also are willing, I believe there's a willingness to work together. We just need leadership to push us in the right direction.
Now, how old are you?
I'm 43.
You realize that Martin Luther King was 39 years old when he was cut down by an assassin's bullet. And here he was in Tennessee, Memphis, for a garbage strike. Of all types of professions you could think of, he didn't look down on any particular profession or way of life, and he gave up his life, in that regard. What does that tell you about the hope for building a better Daytona Beach?
Well, I think that as long as you have a group of people who are committed to doing what's right, King would say the time is always right to do right. There's always hope. And I think that Daytona Beach is primed and ready to do a better job at looking after its indigent, to do a better job at providing a fair opportunity for all, and to just creating an environment where businesses can thrive and residents can live what the Bible refers to as the abundant life.
The abundant life in Daytona Beach is more than the ocean.
Yeah.
It's more than the Speedway. It's the people of Daytona Beach, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And thankfully they have a mayor that they can look up to with fresh ideas and innovative. How do you think Dr. Martin Luther King would look upon you today? And what do you think he would tell you in your early days here as mayor?
Well, one, he would be very thrilled that much of his work made it possible for me to sit in the seat that I now occupy. But two, he would hold me accountable. King would say that you've got this problem, your wages in your city are low. He'd say that unemployment in your city is high. He'd say that poverty in your city is high. And these are things that you have to work on, and you need to come up with a plan, and you need to show these people that you really care. So he would hold me accountable. He would be proud, by all means, as he was proud when he helped to elect Carl Stokes, the first African-American mayor of Cleveland, Ohio. But King held President Lyndon Johnson accountable. He held him accountable with the Civil Rights Act. He held Kennedy accountable. He held Johnson accountable with the Poor People's March. He held him accountable with Vietnam. So surely he would expect Derrick Henry to be doing what he could do to help ameliorate the problems that we have in our community.
Now, Derrick Henry, you have a forefather, the grandfather, who, tell us about his struggle.
Well, my granddad was a very successful man in Mississippi, small town, Centerville, Mississippi, where he was a mortician. He owned 500 acres of prime land, real estate. He owned hotels, juke joints throughout southwestern Mississippi. So he was kind of well off for a black man of that time period. But he also worked in a clandestine fashion, trying to get African Americans the right to vote in Mississippi. And unfortunately, when the powers that be got wind that that was what he was working on, his life was taken.
Ironically, what year was that?
That was 1959.
1959. That was that was pretty much an intense time in civil rights.
Yeah, 53 years ago.
Yeah. Martin Luther King Day is almost over. You've had a good presentation of dinners and get-togethers and dialogue. What have you most learned of the since the MLK dinner the other night at the Hilton to today's events? What has most impressed you moving forward, of any of this?
Well, a great deal has impressed me. I thought that the speech that Attorney Crump gave, there was a speaker today at the Martin Luther King program, pastor out of Jacksonville, president of the National Florida General Baptist Convention. His name was James Sampson. He challenged us today to tell the story, to not let the story of our history, that's African American history and American history, die. Keep telling the story, keep pushing forward to make life better for those of us who have achieved certain positions in life and gotten good jobs. Don't forget those who've been left behind. And that's the challenge that's before us, both as elected officials, as ordinary residents, to look after the least of these.
I think the message that I heard from Benjamin Crump, the attorney for Trayvon Martin's parents, Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, at the MLK dinner, was the idea of telling the stories, putting the truth out there, doing God's work. Do you feel in a way that your elected position that you're doing God's work?
Absolutely. I don't do anything without the driving inspiration of faith. And God I am a very faithful person, and I try to be led and inspired by my understanding of the God consciousness that rests inside of me.
Well, for Derrick Henry, this is Henry Frederick of Headline Surfer. It certainly has been an interesting day. For example, in New Smyrna Beach, there was a speaker, a reverend, who talked about Martin Luther King being an empty vessel, that God filled with energy and word and spirit to bring a cause, something that he could have done, but he put it in his hands to make a difference. And this minister was saying to us today, you yourself, if you're filled, you can't. If you're a vessel that's full, and you're full of hate, you're full of envy, you can't open up and think about these things. So perhaps it's a lesson for all of us.
Yeah.
Well, for Mayor Derrick Henry of Daytona Beach, this is Henry Frederick of HeadlineSurfer.com, NSBNews.net, VolusiaNews.net, and we look forward to continuing our coverage of the news in Volusia County. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.